When she revealed, "My mother owned that ring," his shocking reaction will haunt you forever. In the dim light of the dusty attic, Sarah held the ring delicately between her fingers. It gleamed like a fallen star, its emerald stone winking in the shadows as if it knew secrets the world hadn't yet uncovered. She took a deep breath, heart racing. This ring was no ordinary trinket, it was her mother's legacy, woven into the fabric of their family history, and it was about to unravel something dangerous. In that moment, the air thickened. The shroud of silence was nearly palpable, every creak from the old beam sending a shiver down her spine. She had unearthed it during spring cleaning, little did she know it would stir the ghosts of the past. "You can't," began David, his voice barely a whisper. The way he looked at her, eyes wide with fear and disbelief, made her skin crawl. It was the kind of look that said this ring held more than just gemstones, it held a dark truth, buried long ago. He stumbled back, his hands gripping the dusty shelf behind him as if he would topple over into the abyss. "You really shouldn't have that." His voice shook, laced with raw emotion. Could something as beautiful as a ring strike terror into the heart of a man? As the reality set in, the air crackled with an energy so thick it suffocated. David had never been the type to fear anything. They had laughed at the specters of the old house, the strange noises were nothing but the quirks of age. But now, here they stood, as tension twisted the very air. She watched his reaction like a hawk, searching for answers she desperately needed. Just what had he known that she didn't? The shadows grew longer, and unease wrapped around her like a cold, wet blanket. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect." "David, what do you mean?" Sarah pressed, a tight knot forming in her chest. She needed him to say it to spell out the fear that lay beneath the surface, but instead, he swallowed hard, his throat working as if the words were a poison. The silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable, until he finally muttered, "It's cursed." Her stomach dropped. Cursed? Was this some joke? The thought spiraled, left twisting in her mind as she grappled with disbelief. But there was no downplaying the panic in his wide eyes. She could almost hear the whispers of secrets swirling between them, mingling with the dusty air. What had she unleashed? 1,000 questions formed like storm clouds overhead. What had this ring witnessed? And why was it so frightfully precious that it could incite such fear in David? As the weight of the moment crashed over her, Sarah felt an unseen force pulling them both deeper into this abyss. The attic seemed to spin, shadows dancing tauntingly as if urging them to uncover the truth. Would they dare unearth what had been hidden for so long? The question hung heavily between them, never more urgent. The ring slipped from Sarah's fingers, falling heavily onto the wooden floor. In the suffocating silence, the sound echoed like a death knell. She couldn't take her eyes off David. His pale complexion was smeared with dread, and he remained frozen, as if trapped in a moment he wished he could escape. "David. What do you know? Tell me." Her voice broke through the stillness, more desperate than she intended. She wished she could wipe the fear off his face, but it only deepened the chasm of uncertainty between them. As if pulled by an unseen string, David staggered forward, the dust swirling around his feet. You don't understand. It's not just a ring. Your mother, she got rid of it for a reason. Bad things happened afterward." The words tumbled into the air, thick with foreboding. The attic, with its chipped paint and forgotten memories, suddenly felt ominous. A chill crept down her spine. Her mother had always been secretive about her past, hinting at family tragedies but never opening the door fully. The very thought made Sarah's skin crawl. What kind of darkness had she inherited? Bad things? What things? She nearly shouted, fear clawing at her throat. David swallowed hard again, his eyes darting to the far corners of the attic. I heard whispers of families torn apart. Friends disappearing. Wild stories, but your mother never spoke about it. She wouldn't let me near the ring. His gaze fell to the floor, haunted by memories that made her heart race. A wave of anger surged in her. How could he know so much yet say so little? Why didn't you say anything? All these years because his voice cracked, almost breaking under the strain of buried emotions. You weren't ready to hear it. Your mother wasn't either. It's always best to let sleeping ghosts lie. Sarah's mind flooded with questions, but the fear in David's eyes silenced her thoughts. Deep down, she felt a gnawing connection, a compulsive need to understand. She stepped closer, reaching for the ring, letting her fingers graze the cool metal. With each second, the air became more electrically charged, and a sense of inevitability washed over her. I need to know, she whispered, pulling the ring close. Suddenly, a creak echoed through the attic. Both of them swiveled to face the source of the sound. Heart pounding, Sarah's instincts screamed at her. The shadows grew deeper, dark culprits waiting to pounce. The whispers from before began to form coherent murmurs, wrapping around her like a serpent. They conjured a feeling she couldn't shake off, an urgent warning that churned her stomach. Sarah, put it down. David's voice snapped her back, panic spilling over. But it was too late. The ring glowed faintly now, pulsating with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. Sensing something amiss, she instinctively clutched the ring tighter. The sensation was electric, yet it was overshadowed by the cacophony of whispers swirling in her ears, growing louder. They told stories of heartbreak, betrayal, vengeance. What had her mother been entangled in to leave such a legacy? Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut. A gust of cold air swept through, swirling dust and shadows as if they were alive. The room dimmed, engulfed in an unsettling gloom. Anxiety clawed at Sarah. Something was awakening. She turned to David, his expression caught between horror and regret. We have to go, he urged, yanking at the locked door like it would budge. Panic setting in, Sarah couldn't move. Her thoughts were a frenzy. The ring possessed a mystery that terrified but also fascinated her. Was this the moment her family's history would finally be unveiled? Sarah! David shouted, his eyes darting between her and the door. Move! But she hesitated, feeling the ancient bond of her ancestry pull inexplicably toward the ring, as if the past had caught up with her. Would she uncover the truth or unearth something better left buried? Before she could decide, a blinding flash erupted from the ring, engulfing them both in an unforgiving light, suspending them in time. As their surroundings began to dissolve, a single thought crossed her mind: what had she just unleashed? And as she was swallowed by brilliance, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if she was ready for whatever lay ahead. As the blinding light folded around Sarah and David, sensations spun into chaos. The attic vanished, replaced by a rush of colors and sounds that whirled past her like a tempest. It was a kaleidoscope of faces, voices, and echoes of a time long gone, each flicker revealing moments that seemed to pulse with life. She felt weightless, yet somehow ensnared, like being held in a vice of memory. A scream rose in her throat, but no sound escaped. Instead, a whisper came, haunting but familiar, curling around her mind: find the truth. Then, just as abruptly as it had begun, the light receded. With a heavy thud, Sarah and David landed on a cold, uneven surface. The world settled into focus, and they found themselves in a narrow, dimly lit hallway, lined with old portraits. The faces stared down at them, eyes filled with a mix of hope and despair. What just happened? David gasped, scanning their surroundings with wide eyes. I don't know, Sarah stammered, still feeling the residual static in her fingertips from the ring. The oppressive air thickened, pressing them deeper into the remnants of the past. With tentative steps, they moved forward, the wooden floor creaking beneath their weight. A deep silence enveloped them, broken only by the distant echo of a clock ticking, a reminder of time slipping away. "Look!" David pointed down the hall, his usual dread now sharpened by curiosity. A door at the end stood ajar, light spilling into the darkness like an invitation. Sarah's heart raced, an urge pulling her toward it. She sensed that whatever lay behind that door could hold the answers she desperately sought, answers about her mother, her family, and the legacy tied to the ring. As they approached, the light flickered, revealing fragments of a room scattered with shadows. Shuffling footsteps echoed from within, growing louder with every cautious step they took. David hesitated. "Maybe we should turn back." "No," she breathed, the fire of determination burning inside her. "This is our chance." With a swift motion, she pushed the door wider, the creak resonating ominously in the quiet. The room revealed itself, dusty furniture draped with white sheets, an old book stacked high, yet at its center, an ornate mirror glinted, catching the light with an otherworldly sheen. Sarah felt drawn to it, the supernatural lure strong and immediate. She stepped closer. Her reflection wavered, contorting as if alive, twisting into fragments of the past. Faces from the portraits floated in and out of view, each one resembling her mother. "Sarah." David's voice broke through her reverie, laced with a warning. But she couldn't pull away now. The rush of emotions crashed over her: confusion, longing, betrayal. Memories of her mother's cryptic warnings surged back into her mind. "I need to know," she muttered, staring deep into her own eyes in the mirror, willing clarity to pour out. The reflection morphed, revealing a scene. A younger version of her mother stood in a candlelit room, clutching the very ring that had fallen from Sarah's fingers. Fear rippled across her face, and then she turned away. Sarah's chest tightened, the look in her mother's eyes was one of desperation. "What are you hiding, Mom?" she whispered into the stillness, her heart thudding with urgency. Before she could fathom the meaning, the ground beneath them trembled. The mirror rippled dangerously, and a rush of cold air surged through the room. The shadows thickened, twisting ominously. David grasped her arm, panic flickering in his eyes. "We shouldn't have come here. We need to." As if summoned by her thoughts, the mirror illuminated fully, revealing families torn apart by the very darkness her mother had kept hidden. Whispers echoed, a cacophony of voices crying for justice, for peace. Sarah's breath quickened. The weight of their anger pressed on her, demands echoing in her ears. Then, as abruptly as they'd arrived, the whispers intensified, the voices merging into a singular call, enveloping her like a blanket of sorrow. From within, a sinister truth began to surface. "Get away from the mirror!" David shouted, pulling her back, but it was too late. A surge of energy blasted from its depths, and the world around them twisted once more. As Sarah felt her body pulled towards the mirror, she screamed, echoing the trapped voices of her ancestors. What had she awakened? Suddenly, a voice, rich and ancient, rang out from the mirror, "You have a choice to make." And as the room darkened around them, Sarah's heart raced. What was that choice? What price would she have to pay? The darkness engulfed Sarah and David, a heavy blanket that smothered the flickering light. The air felt charged, vibrating with a mix of fear and expectation. The ancient voice echoed again, reverberating through the cold air, "You have a choice to make." The mirror's surface shimmered, warped images swirling as if reality was being rewritten. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, each beat resonated with the whispers surrounding them, compelling her forward. The faces from the portraits flared up with urgency. They had stories to tell, secrets that could alter everything she thought she knew. "Sarah, we need to get out of here." David's voice rose, thick with panic. He was pushing against her grip on the ornate frame, but her resolve only strengthened. "We can't leave. Not now, not after this." The choices lay before her, raw and heavy. She could run, tear herself away and escape this tormenting legacy. Or she could step closer, embrace the darkness, and confront whatever truth had been kept hidden for so long. She looked back at David's worried expression, the boy who had always been there, steadfast but uncertain, and a wave of guilt washed over her. What if this is why my mom left? What if she knew? She whispered, the realization clawing at her mind. David's face paled. We can't know that, but I can't just walk away, she interrupted, fixing her eyes back on the mirror. Flickers of light danced across its surface, revealing glimpses of her mother's younger self, trapped in some silent horror, her lips moving in urgent whispers. Desperation clawed at Sarah's heart. I have to know why. I have to free her. In an instant, a ripple flowed through the mirror, and a sudden flash illuminated the corner of the room. In that brief instant, Sarah saw a corner of history, families clashed, bonds severed over the ring her mother had once owned. She watched as her mother's hands trembled, grappling with an unseen enemy, a shadow looming that threatened to swallow her whole. Sarah, please! David shouted again, this time his voice cracking. What if you open the door to something we can't control? The doubts hung heavy in the air. But the voices were louder now, a crescendo of longing and sorrow. You must choose. They cried. With a deep breath, Sarah closed her eyes, envisioning all the pain, the unanswered questions they had navigated. Her fingers brushed the surface of the mirror, and a surge of energy shot through her. She gasped, the voices falling silent in anticipation. What do I do? She whispered, feeling the weight of every decision flood her veins. Face the truth, the voice answered, softer now, almost comforting, yet heavy with portent. You must confront what has been hidden and decide whose legacy you will carry. The air crackled around her. Suddenly, the whispers returned, swirling into a harmonious chorus that reached a fever pitch. Choose. Choose without letting the fear take root. Sarah plunged herself into the mirror, heart racing as the world warped and twisted around her. A strange warmth enveloped her, wrapping her in a cocoon as she was sucked into the depths of the mirror's magic. She felt pulled in every direction, memories colliding, truths dancing just past the edge of her mind. And then, a vision broke forth, an image of her mother standing tall, holding the ring tightly, a defiance etched upon her features. Reveal yourself, the ancient voice commanded, echoing as if the mirror itself demanded reverence. Just then, an icy blast tore through her, and Sarah's vision narrowed to a single moment. The ring sparkled dangerously, a dark allure emanating from it. It felt almost alive, beckoning her with promises of power and control, yet shadowed by the anguish of countless lives. Make your choice. The voice pulsed again, thrumming beneath her skin. As the room darkened further, Sarah faced the swirl of images. Her past, her future waited for her to act. What truth would she embrace? Would she break the cycle, or would the darkness claim another soul? The mirror trembled violently, as David's hand grabbed her just in time. Don't let it take you. We have to find another way. But as they locked eyes, Sarah felt something shift within her. The weight of the choice hung in the air, and dread enveloped them both. The answer lingered on the tip of her tongue. She could feel the inevitable pull of the legacy. Would she rise to the challenge, unveil the mysteries of her lineage, or would she risk it all in a battle against fate? As the mirror pulsed one last time, Sarah whispered into the void, I choose. And then, darkness rolled in, thick and consuming, leaving the answer unspoken and trembling in the air. What fate awaited them? Would the truth bring salvation or doom? The moment the darkness enveloped Sarah, a suffocating silence swallowed her whole. No longer tethered to the familiar world, she drifted through an abyss of swirling shadows and memories that flashed like lightning. This wasn't just a passage, it was a descent. She felt the chill seep into her bones as fear gripped her tighter than before. Sarah. David's voice echoed, muffled and distant, but she couldn't tell if he was in the void with her or still clinging to the mirror's edge. Panic rose as she recalled his worried expression from before, a reminder that they were together in this. Yet a fierce sense of purpose tugged at her heart. She had to know the truth. As the chaos swirled around her, a single image crystallized amidst the darkness, her mother. There she stood, alive and resolute, the ring glinting ominously on her finger, casting eerie reflections of what Sarah feared most. The echo of a soft sob broke through the silence, resonating deep within Sarah. "Mom," she breathed, reaching out to the flickering image. Her mother's face twisted with pain, eyes wide with unshed tears, an expression Sarah had never seen but felt woven through her childhood memories. It was the face of someone burdened by untold secrets. Suddenly, a sharp wind whipped through the void, bringing fragments of whispers from the past, cascading like leaves in a storm. "You must remember, you must confront." The urgency pulsated around her, compelling yet terrifying. "Confront what?" Sarah shouted into the blackness, frustration bubbling within her. "What is it that you want from me?" In response, shadows morphed, crafting scenes of her family's history, images of love mingled with wrath. There were bursts of laughter spiraling into screams. She saw her mother at different ages, happy, scared, broken, each moment tinged with the same ring glimmering ominously. The shadows twisted into darker manifestations, figures that looked like ghosts, twisted expressions of sorrow and rage. Then, a chilling sound pierced her consciousness, a sharp, creaking laugh that both intrigued and terrified. "Do you think you can bear it?" a voice asked, dripping with disdain. "The truth will burn you alive. Let me face it," Sarah demanded, her voice trembling with determination. She needed answers, and facing the past was the only way to shield her future. As if responding to her fervor, the shadows shifted, drawing closer. The weight of countless expectations pressed down on her. "You wish to hold her legacy? Do you understand what that means?" The voice taunted, now a mere whisper, curling around her like tainted smoke. "I can't keep running from my mother's choices," Sarah shouted defiantly, feeding off the raw anguish. "I want to know why she left me." A loud crack echoed, and the dark void ruptured into countless shards, reflecting moments she wished to forget. David's anguished face materialized among them, eyes wide with fear. "Sarah! Don't!" he cried out, desperation and worry intertwined in his tone, but she couldn't pull back now. With each primal instinct urging her forward, she pushed through the fragments, shattering the illusion around her. And in an explosive moment, time froze. The image of her mother appeared again, clearer than ever against the shadows. But this time, there was no pain on her face, only a serene defiance. "You have the power to rewrite our story," her mother said, voice echoing like a melody through the void. "Rewrite?" Sarah echoed, the word wrapping around her like a lifeline. "But how?" "Decide, Sarah. Which path will you walk?" The shadows began to swirl violently again, dark voices threatening to drown her in despair. The fork was clear, choices spread wide before her like the endless mist of night. Just then, something gripped Sarah's heart, a powerful urge to understand, to unearth the poetry in pain. "I choose my path, I'll confront the darkness," she declared, staring into her mother's eyes. "Together, we will take back what was lost." The mirror cracked around her, sending vibrations through the void, and in that moment of decision, light and dark collided. "Sarah?" David's voice broke through the chaos, his anxiety palpable. "What are you doing?" The energy surged around her, and for a brief flicker, she could see the two paths before her. One led deeper into shadows, the other towards her mother's ghostly figure. A force pushed her forward, but tension coiled in her stomach, uncertainty clawing at her resolve. She grimaced, sweat trickling down her brow, the shadows whispering deceit and vile promises. "Can I really change it all?" As the darkness began to engulf her choice, she felt the gravity of her decision settle in her chest. Time hung in the balance. The legacy loomed over them like a menacing shadow, waiting to see if Sarah would take the leap, and then, a final echo reverberated, leaving the very air trembling. "The past is not set in stone, but only you can lift the curse." The choice felt monumental, perilous. Would she rewrite the narrative, or would she stumble back into the shadows? With a heavy heart, Sarah clenched her jaw. The decision loomed, the air thick with anticipation, leaving them at the precipice of uncharted territory. Would she be courageous enough to step forward? What dark mystery would her choice unleash? Would the truth be salvation or eternal torment? The moment Sarah stepped forward, everything lurched. The shadows wrapped around her like tendrils of smoke, pulling her deeper into the labyrinth of her past. As her heart raced, the voices grew louder, a cacophony of haunting whispers taunting her, mocking her resolve. "You have chosen poorly," they hissed, echoing through the void. David's pleas faded, his silhouette dimming against the swirling mass. "Sarah! Don't leave me!" His voice was an echo of despair, but Sarah pressed on, a warrior fueled by an unshakable determination. With every step, she felt adrenaline pounding against her chest, the weight of her choice heavy upon her. The clarity of her mother's form shimmered before her, the haunted expression replaced by one of fierce pride. "You're stronger than they think, Sarah," her mother urged. "You can break this cycle." But the shadows lunged at her like wild beasts, clawing and biting at the seams of her hope. "You think you can face the truth?" They swirled faster, morphing into grotesque figures mirroring her fears, memories of her mother's sadness weaving through the darkness. A sudden flash of her childhood home flickered in front of her, dark rooms filled with whispers, anger simmering beneath the surface that she had tried so hard to forget. "I won't run anymore," Sarah shouted, forcing the turmoil around her to still. She felt a warmth building within, a flicker of hope kindling under the weight of sorrow. "Then you must remember," her mother's spectral form urged, fingers pointed to a swirling void that opened like a door. It shimmered with colors she had long sealed away, moments of laughter and love tangled with anguish and betrayal. Taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped into the light, instantly engulfed by memories. She found herself in a time long before her mother in a sunlit garden, laughing freely as she held the shimmering ring, the same one she now wore. "Mom!" Sarah called out, the child in her yearning to bridge the years and pain. Suddenly, her mother turned, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Want to help me plant some roses?" The scene shifted abruptly, the laughter faded, replaced by a dark storm of real-life struggles. "No!" Sarah cried, pulling away as the shadows transformed. She was thrust into an argument, a younger version of herself witnessing her parents' raised voices that echoed with hurt, words that stung. "You never cared. You wanted her gone. Stop!" Sarah screamed, feeling the edges of her sanity fray. She didn't want to see this again, the anger, the despair. With a surge of resilience, she pushed through the tide of despair, determined to forge a new path. "Confront your pain." Her mother's voice soared, growing stronger. "Only then can you heal." A blinding light ignited, banishing the shadows momentarily. Sarah's heart surged as images of her mother's love washed over her, tender moments that had been overshadowed by inevitable heartache. But embedded in her mother's smile was a truth light and dark had hidden. The ring was more than just a cursed legacy, it was a promise. "Embrace the chaos," Sarah whispered, letting herself embrace the pain fully. With every fiber of her being, she pulled memories close, the joy, the sorrow, intertwined like vines. Suddenly, the darkness recoiled and formed a solid wall, murmuring frantic warnings. "You will regret this." But Sarah pressed on, determination coursing through her like wildfire. And just when she thought the shadows would consume her, she felt the warm glow surrounding her, erupting like a star igniting the night. "No more running," she shouted into the darkness. "I will reclaim my past." The shadows shrieked, their cries merging into a storm as the light blazed brighter until it shattered the void itself. Then, silence hung thick, heavy like an unspoken vow, leaving Sarah suspended in a place of endless potential. She floated, raw and exposed, ready to face the fallout of her choice. But as reality shimmered back into focus, she realized David was nowhere to be seen. Panic struck her heart like a dagger. "David!" she called, her voice trembling against the void. "Where are you?" Just then, a flicker of movement caught her eye, shadows stirring again, this time not just from her past but weaving around her, pulling at her like they had before. Something lurked on the edge of sight, something vast and sinister, stirring in the shadows she had not yet faced. "Sarah," a voice hissed, deeper and darker than all that had come before, sending chills down her spine. "Welcome back to your truth." The void thickened, shadows swirling with malevolent intent, and Sarah braced herself. Had she truly initiated the transformation, or had she unleashed another wave of darkness? What new horrors awaited her in this rewritten tale? The air crackled with tension, leaving her heart racing, clinging to hope, yet dreading what lay ahead. "Sarah," the voice slithered through the air, rasping with an unsettling familiarity. It was not her mother, but something else, sinister and cold. The shadows tore themselves apart and reformed into a figure, tall and contorted, looming in the dimness. "Do you really think you can step back into your past and rewrite it?" The figure's eyes glowed like embers, filled with smoke and ashes of her memories. "Do you think you can dare to pull your beloved out of this abyss?" "David!" Panic clawed at her throat. She tried to move but felt bound to the spot, rooted in the very soil of her fading memories. Images of her journey crashed against her like waves against jagged rocks. "Don't you dare take him from me!" The darkness shifted, swirling tighter around her. Shadows played tricks, making her see David caught in a tempest, arms reaching out to her, his exquisite features distorted by fear. "Sarah!" "I'm the figure," laughed, a sound like breaking glass, shattering her concentration. "Look close," it commanded, gesturing dramatically. "Is he really there? Or is he just another illusion conjured by your feeble hope?" The walls of her heart cracked open as she strained, searching for any sign of him. The despair pressed harder, suffocating her bravado. "You're lying. He's real." The shadows danced, illuminating brief scenes from her life. David's smile across a candlelit table, their laughter weaving through the quiet moments they shared. But each memory flickered and then twisted, morphing into grotesque reminders of pain and loss. "Nothing can save him. Nothing can change what's already broken." "Shut up!" Sarah shouted, voice cracking with emotion. "I'll face my truth." In that moment, a surge of defiance coursed through her. The echoes of her mother's teachings pulsed within her, intensifying. She reached deep inside, gathering the wreckage of her scattered resolution. "I will not let you do this. You're just a nightmare." The figure recoiled briefly, shadows writhing away as if her words struck a nerve. "You think you have the power? You've merely walked into the gaping maw of your demise, a fool riddled with misplaced courage." "Maybe so," Sarah breathed, summoning courage from the depths of her being. "But I will bring David back. I will create a new destiny." Rays of warmth shot through her, lighting up her senses. She could almost feel the familiarity of David's embrace. The laughter was on the verge of bubbling up. Sarah allowed it to swell, harnessing the energy like fuel to ignite the encroaching darkness. "Watch this," she murmured, forcing the light of her memories to break free. With every ounce of strength, Sarah envisioned herself breaking the boundaries of pain, determined to forge a new connection with David. The shadows shrieked, crackling around her, desperate to extinguish the light. But as she focused, tendrils of brightness danced outwards, pushing against the darkness. Just then, a scream rippled through the void. "You will pay for this." The figure was angry now, its menacing form fractionally swaying, unsteady against her light. She was startlingly aware that she might actually have a chance. Fingers of warmth pierced the shadows, and for an instant, she thought she saw David's outline emerge from the chaos, eyes wide and searching for her. "Sarah, hold on!" she cried, overwhelmed with emotion. "I'm here. I want to let go." But before she could pull him closer, a tremor shook the ground beneath her, the darkness forcefully recoiling to counter her advances. Shadows twisted, forming an ominous scream that echoed in her ears. "You dare meddle in this realm? Your past is not yours to change." The air thickened, time stretching as the shadows swirled tighter, shaking the very foundation of her resolve. Would she truly be able to alter the course of her life? As David's voice sharpened, piercing through the chaos, her feeble uncertainty took hold again, the chilling figure swelled in size, engulfing the light she had summoned. This is just the beginning. The cost will be steep, Sarah. Heart pounding, she stood firm, clutching the glowing core of her memories tighter. What have you done to him? From the depths of the shadows, she sensed an answer lingering, but it didn't come to her. David's presence flickered in and out, the connection between them strained. And then, silence. A suffocating weight blanketed the space, leaving her desperate and hollow as the world around her faded. What if I'm too late? The fear gripped her, the darkness closing in, the moment hung by a thread, and Sarah's resolve wavered. What would be left of her if she failed to save him? She was standing on the edge of a precipice, where hope mingled with despair. But just as everything began to blur, a whisper broke the quiet, drawing her closer to the precipice of understanding. To uncover your true power, you must face the deepest fear of your past. Are you ready? The whisper peered through the silence like a ray of sunlight breaking a storm. Are you ready? It was both haunting and inviting, sending chills creeping down Sarah's spine. She drew in a shaky breath, uncertainty warring with determination. Standing on the edge of despair, she could feel her heart pounding, each beat propelling her toward the unknown. I'm ready, she whispered back, her voice steadying itself against the shadows. As soon as the words left her lips, the darkness around her shuddered, as if the air itself quaked with the weight of her acceptance. The figure before her writhed, its form flickering with rage. The shadows screamed in protest, swirling violently in a tempest of despair and uncertainty. Foolish girl. It spat, the voice now dripping with fury. You have no idea what you are stepping into. The price for knowledge is steep. Sarah tightened her grip on the glowing core of her memories, feeling its warmth seep through her palm. Hadn't she already paid dearly? Heartache, loss, she had faced those demons. What was one more step into the abyss if it could save David? With a surge of will, she recalled every moment she had with him, the warmth of his laughter, the tenderness of his touch. Each cherished memory ignited the light, pushing back the shadows once more. I'm not afraid anymore, she declared, her voice rising defiantly against the churning darkness. In response, the figure began to morph, warping into a grotesque caricature of her past, a twisted version of her mother, eyes dark as coal, features harsh and unyielding. Face your greatest fear, Sarah. Your past will consume you. The suffocating figure enveloped her memories, choking off the warmth she had summoned. Just as despair threatened to overtake her, Sarah recognized the glimmer of strength woven within her pain. It was rooted in the very essence of her journey, every trial pushing her closer to this moment. Mom, it's you. Sarah gasped, the realization crashing over her like a wave. The twisted face of guilt and loss shimmered and shifted, pulling her deeper into a whirlpool of haunting memories. You tried to protect me. Yes. The figure shrieked, its voice reverberating with anguish. And what did it bring you? More pain. The knowledge I sheltered you from. Now you seek it. You seek him. Tears stung Sarah's eyes. But I need to understand. I need to face the truth. The memories surged, fractured yet beautiful. Her mother's last words before she passed echoed in her mind. Find the ring, Sarah. It's a key. The figure laughed, a harsh sound that echoed like the final toll of a bell. You think a mere trinket can save you? Can save anyone? You're a naive child playing at fate. Panic surged within her like a wild animal. What ring? What truth? Her voice cracked, desperation clawing at her. For a moment, a flicker of hesitation crossed the figure's warped face. You must let go, it whispered, almost tenderly. And in that instant, a fleeting memory pressed against her consciousness, a family gathering. Her mother smiling, a radiant ring glinting on her finger. Sarah's heart raced, that ring held power, a connection, a promise. These pieces of her past intertwined with her hope, lighting a path through the shadows. "No!" she shouted, defiance igniting inside her. "I refuse to let this end. I'll find it. I'll bring David back." She drew upon the light inside, letting it swell until it burst forth bright, fierce, and defiant against the encroaching darkness. The shadows shrieked, voices becoming a cacophony of fury and fear. "No! You cannot rewrite the past." Suddenly, the ground began to tremble, and a blinding light enveloped Sarah. Her pulse quickened as she was pulled deeper into the void, memories flashing around her, a kaleidoscope of love, regret, and unfulfilled promises. Everything spiraled as a grating voice hissed, "You have no power here." But deep inside, she could feel the power surging, unchecked and wild. It was the unyielding spirit of her journey, pushing her onward. "I have all the power," she screamed, her voice echoing against the swirling maelstrom. Then came a jolt, a sudden snap that sent her spiraling into a great unknown, a dark chasm that swallowed her whole, leaving nothing but an echo of uncertainty and fear. Sarah gasped as she landed roughly on a cold stone floor, the shadows eerily quiet, almost expectant. Was this it? She thought, her heart racing. Where am I? As she lifted her head, her breath caught in her throat. There in that grim space was a single, shining object, something familiar glinting within the darkness. The chilling question hung heavy in the air, could that be the ring? Sarah's heart raced as she stumbled forward, drawn to it like a moth to flame, but in that moment, unease gripped her. What awaited her this time? Sarah's breath came in rapid spurts, the glow from the object illuminating the stark room around her. Cobwebs clung to the corners like shadows waiting to creep back. The air was thick, almost suffocating, loaded with a history she couldn't see but could feel in every fiber of her being. As she took cautious steps toward the glimmering ring, memories of her mother flooded her mind, each one brimming with laughter and warmth. But laced within those memories was fear, a sense of loss that made her stomach churn. "This is it. This is the truth I seek," she whispered, her voice trembling, barely echoing in the vast emptiness. Just as Sarah reached out, ready to grasp the ring, a shrill laugh echoed through the chamber, breaking the tension. "Why do you linger, dear Sarah?" The voice was sultry, mocking. It seemed to dance through the air around her. "Do you think that can save you? That it will change anything?" Surging anger coursed through her. "Who are you?" she shouted, her voice reverberating back at her. The walls vibrated, reacting to her turmoil, but she would not be intimidated. She was tired of fear dictating her choices. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall, slender, with a smile that sent shivers racing down her spine. It was a likeness of her mother, yet distorted, eyes filled with malice instead of love. "You're not prepared for the truth, are you? It's more dangerous than the darkness you already face. Leave me." Sarah felt her skin prickle. "I won't let you control me. I'm here for his sake." With every word, she stepped closer to the ring, feeling its pull, a magnetic intensity that threatened to consume her entirely. The twisted version of her mother tilted its head, eyebrows raised in mock surprise. "For him?" "Ah yes, David, the boy who went missing while you remained trapped in your own grief. What if I told you that the very act of loving him could be your downfall?" Sarah's heart sank as dread filled her mind. "No. I won't believe you." Each step grew heavier under the weight of realization. What if all this, the darkness, the horrific visions, was merely a testament to her failures? What if she was destined to lose David because she couldn't escape her own nightmares? The figure closed the space between them, a predator inching toward its prey. "Love and pain are woven together, dear child. To save one, you may have to sacrifice the other. Are you truly ready to face that?" Doubt clawed at her eternally. What would you know about sacrifice? A shadow flickered, intertwining with the figure's form. "I have witnessed it time and again. I bear witness as children like you destroy everything they hold dear in their quest for truth. No. I refuse to let this be true." Sarah screamed, the words teetering on the edge of her sanity. The ring was mere inches away, shining like a beacon of hope in the oppressive gloom. Just as she reached for it, the room darkened. A gust of wind howled through, carrying the chilling whispers of lost souls. The figure faded into the darkness, its voice echoing, "Choose wisely, for your love may very well be your undoing." With trembling hands, Sarah grasped the ring, its cool surface grounding her fraying nerves. The moment she did, a surge of energy erupted around her, clashing violently with the encroaching shadows. Memories ripped through her, flashes of laughter, moments of joy, and heart-crushing sorrow. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shifted. The walls began to close in, and an overwhelming pull swirled around her, dragging her back toward the abyss. Panic gripped her heart. "What have you done?" she cried out, clutching the ring desperately. Just as she felt herself being drawn into the chasm, she locked eyes with the darkness, the apparition of her mother returning with a twisted smile. "The truth awaits, but its cost is greater than you can imagine." As the darkness enveloped her, the ultimate question loomed over Sarah like a storm cloud. Would the truth she sought come with a price too high to pay? The very thought both terrified and invigorated her as she fought against the void, and as the swirling chaos consumed her, one thought remained burning in her mind: what was the sacrifice that awaited her? As the darkness closed in, Sarah felt the cool touch of the ring pulsing in her hand, a heartbeat in the void. She gasped, the weight of her choice anchoring her as memories flooded her mind, weaving her past with an urgency that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled as a blinding light erupted from the ring. The air crackled, electric with a power she had never known. Wisps of memory, glimmers of lost moments, swirled around her, images of laughter with David, her mother's gentle smiles, joyous family gatherings. "I can do this," she whispered, summoning her strength while clenching the ring tighter. "I am ready." The shadows hissed, a cacophony of whispers echoing around her. "You think you can change what has already been written?" they taunted, swirling in malicious delight. But she stood firm, surrounded by the warmth of love and memory. "I hold my own destiny," she shouted, her voice reverberating against the walls of despair. "You have no power here." The darkness quivered, shadows swirling with fury. "The choice is yours, child. Choose wisely, for every truth comes with a cost." A sudden tremor shook the ground beneath her. Sarah felt the air thrum with ancient energy, as the truth began to unfold. It was everything she had feared: heartache, betrayal, the every dread her mother had tried to shield her from. Her mother's image swam before her, caught between worlds, sorrow etched across her features. With a deep breath, Sarah willed the memories to solidify. "Mom! I know you wanted to protect me." The air thickened, and she felt a pull towards her mother's essence, drawing strength from the love they had shared. "But I need to face this. I need to honor your past and embrace my future." As the shadows writhed violently around her, the ring grew warmer, pulsating with life as if resonating with her declaration. She focused on the warmth, channeling every ounce of love into it. "I choose to be the light in this darkness." Suddenly, the room exploded in light, and Sarah was thrown into a whirlwind of blinding brilliance. The tapestry of her family's past unraveled before her, moments both beautiful and heartbreaking intertwined. She felt every scar, every loss, but also every lesson, every connection that had guided her to this moment. Within that raw power, she spotted David's face, his expression filled with concern and love, shimmering through the chaos. "Don't you dare lose hope." His voice called out, crashing through the layers of darkness. "You have the strength to break this curse. Together," she shouted, her spirit lifting with determination. "We will rewrite our story." As the tumult roared around her, she felt an overwhelming surge of light push the darkness back, revealing flickering images of hope, laughter, and resilience. Then it hit her: the truth. The families torn apart were bound by choices made in fear, not love. The curse was never just the ring, it was the silence, the secrets that had strained their very legacy. No more secrets. she declared, confident and fierce. "I'll make sure every story is told." With a deafening roar, the shadows shrieked and began to disintegrate. Light poured in, enveloping Sarah as she screamed. David's warmth radiated beside her, his presence returning, intertwining their essences. "I'm here," he shouted, reaching for her. Their fingers touched, and a surge of energy ignited between them, a bridge over the abyss. "Together, we'll face this," Sarah exclaimed, her voice steady now, bolstered by love, resilience, and truth. The room shimmered, and they were together again, the oppressive weight of darkness lifting as they landed back in the attic, the ring's glow now a soft luminescence. In the silence that followed, the air felt lighter, breathing life back into the once stagnant space. The dust settled, revealing the ring resting at their feet, speckled with the soft light of a new beginning. "We did it," David whispered, looking at her with wonder and admiration. "We broke the curse," Sarah replied, her voice thick with emotion. She felt the shadows step back, their power diminished, revealing the beautiful tapestry of memories once hidden. They stood together in that quiet moment, gazing back at the attic around them, no longer mere relics of the past. "Let us share our story, let us heal," Sarah urged, pulling David into a tight embrace. "You're brave, Sarah, and you'll never be alone again," he whispered, his voice echoing a newfound strength. They took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of hope, ready to step into their future unburdened by the shadows of yesterday. The ring, now a symbol of their bravery, glinted softly in the light, a reminder that their legacy would not be trapped in silence anymore. They had faced the past and emerged stronger, ready to rewrite a new story together. With hearts joined, they made a vow to honor the truth, and to never let fear dictate their future. "Together, always," they whispered in unison, ready to embrace whatever came next. As the attic resonated with warmth, their laughter answering the echoes of the whispers just beginning to fade. In that moment, Sarah knew that while the ring held history, they held the power to change it, transforming legacy into love. And just as they stepped forward, a subtle glow illuminated the room, spreading warmth and light as they walked into their new beginning. "Before you go, now is the time to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions, theories about the ending, and let us know what you think. This is the moment. Don't wait even one more second. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans, let your voices be heard.